This is Deepin 15.4 based on a snapshot of Debian Unstable. However, Deepin does not use the Debian repositories directly. It has its own repositories which contain a snapshot of the Debian Unstable repositories plus several other applications which Debian does not support. Some of the biggest changes in this version are in the graphics of the desktop. Now, for instance, when I go to the multitasking view, it opens 4 workspaces by default, and you can add a workspace by clicking on plus, and you can close any workspace you want. As you can see, it shows the minimized applications. In this case, I have Simple Screen Recorder. And each workspace has a different background. If you want to have the same background in each workspace, you can do it, but you also have the option of having a different one in every workspace. When you right-click on the workspace and then click on Set Wallpaper, you see a selection of available wallpapers. There's quite a few of them. But I like this view. It's a magnificent landscape. I have this dock on always hidden. It doesn't always hide, but it generally is supposed to until you go to the bottom with your cursor. So if I have some applications open, here I'm going to open the Deepin terminal. On Always Hidden, it remains hidden even though the application only covers part of the desktop. If you right-click on this under Status, it can be Smart Hide or Keep Shown. If you put it on Smart Hide, it only hides when the application takes up the full screen. Now it hides. Now it doesn't. If you click on Keep Shown, it doesn't hide, and when you have your application take up the full screen, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. In addition to that, there's a mode. This is the fashion mode, which is a dock, and this is the efficient mode, which is a panel. And you can also change the size, large, medium, and small. You don't have an infinite number of choices here, but you have enough choices to make it easily configurable. And if you change the location, this is on the bottom, this is on the top, this is on the right, I'm going to put it back on the bottom. Now there are also hot corners on the lower left that isn't changing anything at this point, one on the upper left that shows the application launcher, one on the upper right, which doesn't seem to be functioning, one on the lower right, which shows the control center. To me, this is gilding the lily because these things are also available from the panel or the dock. So I'm going to right-click on one corner and it says Corner Settings. And here's a little animation which shows you what to do. Very clever. And for each one there's a choice. This one shows all windows. I'm going to just click on None. And here this one shows the launcher. I'm going to click on None. This one shows Close Window, and I'm going to click on None. And this one shows the Control Center, and I'm going to click on None. Now when I go to one of these corners, nothing happens. The other way to get to the control center, of course, is to click on this little gear, and I prefer this method. And when you want to get out of the control center, you just click on the desktop, and it goes away. Now it opens with this grid view. And this is accounts, this is display, this is default applications, personalization, network, Bluetooth, sound, time and date, power management, mouse and touchpad, keyboard and language, update, and system information. If you click on any of these, accounts for instance, you can actually drag this up and down. This is kind of awkward if you're going to go very far, and you have to be sure to click on a blank space or you're going to be clicking something you don't want to click. So here I am back where I don't want to be. So it's better to go back up to this grid when it's available and just click on the specific item you want. And I'm going to start out with updates here. And under update you have a choice of checking for updates, and that's what it's doing now. Now there's one update, so I'm going to install it. It's a new system edition and 0 application updates. There's been an update to Deepin 15.4 and now it's 15.4 plus 6. So I'm going to install that and I'm going to pause the recording. Added a new ground glass and list sign, added new weather forecast and notification center, added experimental remote screen projection function, added quick access at home page, etc., etc. I'm not going to go down all these. I'm just going to download them. So I'm going to pause this recording. I'm in Deepin 15.4 plus 6. Now, under Update Settings, you have a choice of auto-downloading updates or not. I keep that turned off. I don't want to auto-download. I also have a choice of switching mirrors. Now, the official mirror has CDN acceleration, which is a content delivery network. This is a widely distributed network of servers with rather sophisticated software for switching the routing so that you get the most efficient delivery of content. But you have a choice here, and before you get the choice, it checks the speed of all the available mirrors. Since there are a lot of available mirrors and some of them are not very fast, this can take some time. Now this took a while and I interrupted the video, but now we have a list of the mirrors and you can switch mirrors. However, I found that the official mirror with the content delivery network acceleration is quite satisfactory now. There are two in the U.S., James Madison University, Georgia Institute of Technology, and they've been in timeout ever since I downloaded this. So I haven't been able to try those. Most of these others are shown as medium. This one is shown as slow. Again, you have to be careful when scrolling here or you're going to end up selecting one you don't want to select. Now, this is one thing I don't particularly like about this method of scrolling down. I'm not going to go through all of these, but on personalization, under themes, I had a choice of Deepin Default, which is how it came, and Deepin Dark, which is the one I'm using. There are also several different icon schemes. I'm using the default scheme, and there's a cursor scheme. One thing I wanted to mention about the themes is that they work very well for many applications. For instance, here's Office, and I'm going to pick the WPS spreadsheet. Notice that the background of the spreadsheet is black. And if I switch to Deepin Default, I have to reload the spreadsheet, but it changes color, changes to white. I'm going to go back to Deepin Dark because I prefer it. The spreadsheet comes out with a dark background. However, when I use some of the utilities, such as the Deepin File Manager, it doesn't follow the theme at all. It just completely ignores it. And since I don't like this light blue on light gray background, this is one that I would really like to change. So there's a little inconsistency when it comes to theming. Here's the Deepin Store. Again, it takes a while for this to populate like it does in GNOME software and other stores. I'm going to make it full screen. This has a selection of software perhaps that they prefer to recommend to you. But you have a choice. You can go by rankings, for instance. And again, this takes a while because I have to go through all of these things and rank them. And out of the top 100, Mozilla Firefox ranks first, VLC ranks second, and LibreOffice ranks third. GIMP ranks fourth, and none of these are installed, by the way. They use WPS Office, which ranks somewhere down here, farther down here. And VLC and GIMP are not included by default, but they're in the repositories. And I installed GIMP already. So when I go to this, for instance, it only has a choice to open. It doesn't have a choice to download. However, I'm going to install VLC just to show you how this works. It says install. Now it says installing. This little symbol up here is whirring around, so if I click on this symbol, it gives me a percentage. I'm downloading at 547 kilobytes per second. It's slowed down to 267. It's not very fast, actually. But it's reasonably competitive for one of these software centers. %53 complete, 55% complete. At least they let you know and don't leave it a mystery like some software centers do. And now it's installed 100%, VLC installed successfully, and I can open it by clicking here. And there VLC is open. However, I'm not going to do anything with it right now. That brings up one more issue, and that's the download speed. I'm going to open Google Chrome, which is the default web browser. And by the way, I must say that Chrome works very well in Deepin. It works much better in Deepin than it does in some other distributions I've used. So I'm going to the Deepin website. Now, if you click on download, which of course you want to do if you want to download it, it takes you to another page, and I'm not going to do this now, but I've tried this download, and it's really slow. And this was slow in the last version also. So you have several different options here. I tried Google Drive, and that gave me an incomplete download. But I was very successful with SourceForge, which is the SF here, and that was very quick. Just click on Deepin 15.4 and it will go in less than 10 minutes. In my case, it may depend on your connection speed. Let's look at the available software. Now, by default, it comes basically with the things they consider important to call to your attention. But if you click on this little symbol up at the upper left, you can get it by categories, which I much prefer. So under Internet, you have Google Chrome, Skype, Thunderbird Mail, Remote Assistant. Under Music, you have Spotify, Deepin Music, Pulse Audio Volume Control, which I installed, and a VLC Media Player, which I just installed. Under Video, it has Deepin Movie, which works quite well. It has a Deepin Screen Recorder, which also works well. It's much simpler than Simple Screen Recorder, believe it or not, but it doesn't have many adjustments or much flexibility, and it just sort of automatically records either in a GIF file or an MP4 file and sticks it on the desktop. It comes with Deepin Voice Recorder. Now, I installed OpenShot Video Editor, and I installed Simple Screen Recorder. So now in graphics, it has Deepin Screenshot, Deepin Image Viewer, and I installed GIMP. Under games, it has the Steam client. Of course, you have to pay for the Steam games in order to use them. Under Office, it has the WPS Office Suite, at least the Writer, the Presentation, and Spreadsheets. Just to open the Writer for a minute. It comes with an interface which is very similar to the ribbon interface on Microsoft Office ever since 2007. And that is one of the reasons that I stopped using Microsoft Office and switched first to OpenOffice.org. I don't like the interface. However, if you do, this is perfectly usable, and you can always install LibreOffice if you want. Now, it has a text editor, which I think is gedit. It has Deepin Cloud Print and Deepin Cloud Scan. My printer isn't compatible with cloud-based printing and scanning, so I haven't tried those, and I haven't tried any print settings yet. Now this Kimsey, this doesn't really tell you what it does. So Kimsey is an open source and freely distributed software project based on the CHMLIB library and designed to act as a standalone viewer for compiled HTML help files that were used under the Microsoft Windows operating system. So that's what that is. Foxit Reader, which is a PDF viewer, this is really a non-free product. That is to say, it's patent-encumbered product. And while it's very good, I would prefer to use one of the open source PDF viewers. Under System, you have the Deepin File Manager. By the way, this Deepin File Manager is basically Nautilus, one of the worst file managers anybody ever conceived of. But you can download other file managers, so if you use this, I suggest doing so. The Deepin Store, which we looked at, the Deepin Terminal, Simple Scan, the Deepin Bootmaker for putting ISO images on USB drives. This is your computer and the Show Desktop icon, which is already down at the bottom here. Trash, the Control Center, which of course we can get to from the panel. The Multitasking view, these are all things that are on the panel. The System Monitor. I have Simple Screen Recorder going, so this is not going to be very representative. So with Simple Screen Recorder going, I'm using 1.1 gigabytes of memory, but a zero swap. Deepin Calendar. Of course, you can get to the Deepin Calendar just by clicking on the time. Calculator, Font Viewer, Archive Manager, Driver Manager. I have one proprietary driver, and that's the Intel driver for my CPU, and this identified it and I was able to install it. GW Package Installer, Gparted. I installed Synaptic Package Manager. Under Others down here, you have the Deepin User Feedback and Crossover, which is for running Windows applications in Linux, and it's a proprietary application. I found Deepin to be completely usable. It does everything I want to do. Deepin 15.4. This is XRAM Tech. Thanks for watching.